What's up, everybody? Welcome to Wrestling with My Opinion. My name's Frank. If you've come across the channel, please, if you like what you see, like, subscribe, and most of all, this is Wrestling with My Opinion. Not only my opinion counts. Get into the comments. Tell me your opinion. Find me on Twitter at mypwopinion and drop me a video giving your opinion. Maybe I can add it into a video later on. You can get your opinions on here along with me. Gonna cover a little bit about Raw from last night. Not a whole lot to cover, honestly. Raw wasn't very interesting, as usual. But regardless, they started out pretty strong, actually. They brought Rollins out. Anytime Rollins starts off the show, in my opinion, that's starting off pretty strong because he's the best they got. But all they did is end up having him come out, talks a little bit. Here comes Corbin, or as I like to call him, Baron Bourbon. He sucks. But anyway, he comes out, blah, 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 with his little bit. Then here comes Sammy. Sammy does his little bit. Then he brings out KO as Rollins questions who's going to have his back. Of course, it would be KO, especially with this not so wild card rule they got going on. But regardless, the whole segment leads into really kind of a bunch of nothing. In the end, they did do a main event with Rollins and KO, with Sammy being a special guest referee. Whatever. He was outside. All he did was interfere. Waste of time to do that. I know they're trying to build into him possibly being the special referee for a match in the future, but it just didn't really make sense. But they move on from that. Then they bring out, well, how do I put this? Lars Sullivan and Lucha House Party. Well, pretty much another big waste of time. Lars Sullivan, basically, as I like to call him, aka Braun Strowman's little brother. Let's bring in another big, strong guy, and let's portray him as uncompletely beatable. And then what do we do? Nothing. Is he over with fans? No. What does it do for him or Lucha House Party to have this match? Zero. Nothing. Pointless. Waste of airtime. But that's what they did, so that's what we saw. Then they end up going on to the third segment. Third segment, actually not that bad. You end up with a six-man that's got a lot of great guys in it. Ricochet, Joe, Cesaro, Lashley, Strowman, Miz. Bunch of great talent. Bunch of guys that I wrote in my notes. We don't know what to do with them, so put them in a six-man tag. Well, they did. They put them in a six-man tag. These guys had a really good match all in all. There was a good, strong finish. Reports have come out today that Cesaro's okay, but it did appear at the end of the match that his knee was injured when Ricochet did the 630 and landed on his legs instead of on his torso. Apparently he was just selling, which is awesome. I'm glad he's okay if that turns out to be true. But all in all, the match was really good. They had some really good high spots, some awesome stuff going on in there. And it really kind of made sense. Cesaro's new ring gear, is what it is. He got new ring gear. But he's definitely still the king of swing. I saw comments on Twitter from people saying that Miz must have lost a bet because, oh my God, how many swings did he take? 100% agree. Tons of swings. I don't know how many it was. It could have been somewhere around 20. I didn't count them, but it was pretty amazing to see. Some people think that spot's kind of cheesy. I think it's really fun, actually. But all in all, it was probably the best match on the entire show. Then they move on to a women's tag. Now, the women's tag has Alexa Bliss and Lacey Evans with Becky and Bayley. In my opinion, they missed a huge opportunity here. I know they would say different. That's not how it's done. I personally see, since you have Alexa Bliss and Bayley getting ready to build or have another match together on SmackDown for that title, would have made sense to me to somehow have Alexa Bliss, pin Bayley, then building heat and intrigue going into a match. God forbid we build some kind of interest going into a match for national TV. Excuse my fumbling of words, but, well, we didn't. What do they end up doing? Well, whatever, nothing. They end up having a really good showing, though. Evans looked great, by the way. Lacey Evans did a wonderful job. She had one spot where she gets tagged in, comes over the top rope, flings herself out, and does an elbow drop. Unbelievable. Looked really good. Becky's awesome, as always. The man, she's really probably the best they have in the women's division going right now. Obviously, it ebbs and flows in the world of pro wrestling, but right now she's got to be the best in the business. They did do a bit of a little backstage interview thing, probably pre-taped, with Becky and Lacey Evans. Really wasn't Becky's strongest promo. Lacey wasn't really all that great either in this particular promo. There was only one kind of funny line, Becky referencing granny panties. Kind of made me chuckle a little bit, but other than that, it was just kind of a time filler, it felt like. Um, but all in all, you still end up with Becky Lynch and Lacey Evans in the same ring together, competing against each other, which is good. You end up with Alexa Bliss and Bayley in the same ring together, competing, which is good. But again, I personally feel like they missed an opportunity to build some real intrigue going into Bliss and Bayley on SmackDown. But again, I'm not the writer, I'm not a creator for them, so, or in creative for them, excuse me. Um, then we go into, to be honest, why? Why is it even on? Other than to put Iconics on TV, why is it there? You have them come out against some jobbers. Okay. I'm sure these ladies they brought in actually are probably really talented, and they're probably pretty good out on the independent scene. I haven't looked up exactly who they were yet, although I need to do that, so excuse me for not getting that research done. But it was really just a time filler. It was waste. Another wasted spot. Um, then we move on to my absolutely least favorite thing of the entire WWE right now. Shane McMahon and his Best in the World segment. Really? Come on. Best in the world? Maybe just the son of the owner? How about we just call it that? Son of the owner segment, because that's all it freaking is, Shane McMahon. You're the son of the owner, so let me eat up TV time. We got a bunch of talent that we claim we don't have time for, but yet I'm out here for a 10-minute freaking segment calling myself the best in the world and drinking champagne out of a freaking trophy. Jeez, whatever. Meanwhile, by the way, over and over again, funny segments with the 24/7 title, R-Truth, Carmella, EC3, Drake. Gee, I can't even name them all at this point in time, but they were trapped in this elevator. That was actually kind of funny stuff. But again, you have those talented people trapped in an elevator for the 24/7 title thing with the others, Eric Young, Titus O'Neil, some of those guys outside of it waiting for them to not be trapped. And Shane McMahon's in the ring doing a segment about the best in the world with a banner and balloons and a trophy and Drew McIntyre, and they're drinking champagne, and I fell asleep. So, whatever. But that's just my opinion. So, anyway, so they move on. Uh, Drew does talk a little bit about how he's gonna hurt, beat, and maim Roman Reigns. He's gonna do all these things to him. This is after Shane, of course, making some references to how good Roman Reigns is, and that's why it was such a big deal that he beat him at Super Showdown. Um, I didn't even watch Super Showdown. I won't lie to you guys. I'm gonna be 100% upfront with you. My opinion, that was nothing but a money grab and a waste of time, so I didn't watch it. But it is what it is. Um, so during this whole segment, as they're doing all this, they kind of lost the crowd. They had the crowd kind of into the show a little bit, especially with the six-man tag. Some of the stuff that happened there, some of the things that went down in the women's tag team match, actually had the crowd somewhat interested. They got a few pops out of the crowd there. Ricochet, by the way, when he comes out, big pop for him, showing the intelligence of fans recognizing talent. Uh, but um, regardless, they kind of lose the crowd a little bit. Then they go into this, as they're doing that segment, excuse me, they bring out the Revival. Revival starts to drink some champagne. Shane stops them, says, "No, you can't be drinking because you have a triple threat for the tag team titles." Uh, Nobody would have saw this coming, right? But anyway, so they move on from that into this triple threat. You got Hawkins and Ryder, the Usos, and the Revival. Solid match, all in all, to be perfectly honest. Really funny bit where they had, I believe it was Hawkins, they had thrown him into the barrier and he's laying on the floor. And Dawson from Revival lays down next to him and starts looking at the camera as they're getting ready to cut to commercial, screaming "Night night, go night night." That was actually pretty damn funny and pretty creative. And kudos to him for spotting the camera and being a talent and improvising. That was really good. They get back from the segment again. The crowd's still kind of down at this point, although they're somewhat into it. The Usos, once they get into the match, they pick the pace up quite a bit, doing some of their dive spots and off the top rope spots. And sorry, Young Bucks, but I'm going to use your term here. They had a freaking super kick party that actually led to the end. Basically, the end screw job finish where the Revival ends up pinning Zack Ryder and they become the new tag team champions. Again, kind of saw it coming to an extent. My only hope of something different there was that maybe the Usos would win it. But actually, I'm more pleased with Revival winning those tag team titles because honestly, the Revival are probably the most solid tag team that's been together for a long time, other than the Usos, that they have in all of WWE right now. So, and they've got some decent tag teams otherwise, but those two, as far as being solid together for a long time, the chemistry they have together, they really rock it and do a great job. They went back to the elevator stuff. Again, kind of funny stuff here and there. Some of it got a little weird, but for the most part, it was funny stuff. They move on to Firefly Funhouse. Um, I'm really not sure how I feel about it. I sit and I laugh at it sometimes when they do the segment. The Yowie Wowie thing's pretty funny. You guys can watch it and decide for yourself. I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. Actually, if you're watching this, drop in the comments. Again, find me on Twitter at mypwopinion.com. Or not .com. Sorry, at mypwopinion on Twitter. But I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. And apparently, that is starting to come to an end. Though there's reports that they're down to the last one or two of those before he makes his actual in-ring debut back in WWE rings. I'm actually excited for that. He's taken the time to get himself in excellent shape. So far, the character is building into something very interesting. Hopefully, like everything else, they don't just ruin it and bury him, but who knows? Who knows? Now, beyond that, you get into the main event with Rollins and KO. You got Sammy out there as like a special ref. Had a decent little exchange between Rollins and Sammy about and the ref that was actually in the ring about he has to be checked. And they kind of go back and forth a little bit. They end up checking Owens, and then the match finally starts. They did do some interesting little spots. You had a roll up where Rollins has got KO pinned, which is how he beat Corbin at Super Showdown, from what I've seen of the highlights. But it would have been a clear pinfall had the ref been there and not been distracted, but he was. So Sammy did his job there. Of course, the fans did react to all that because outside interference makes it interesting, and people want to see Rollins win. And guess what? He should have and didn't, and that was part of the story. So actually, kudos to them for building some intrigue in the match during the match. They're making the fans interested. Sammy basically just continued doing things, being in the way on the outside, things like that. Ends up with Rollins into the barrier. His ribs are taped up. He's doing a hurt thing there. And then KO delivers an awesome DDT on the outside to Rollins. Kudos to both of those guys for being able to make that move look as good as it did, because it was the two of them together on that one was awesome. The match was really good. They had a great pace. The Sammy element outside kind of slowed it down, but you get two really talented guys like KO and Rollins together, and you're going to probably get a good match out of it 99.9% of the time. And they did. They got a good match out of it. They really did a good job. Uh, of course, they did another screwball finish as usual. And after the match, you end up with Corbin is out there. He's trying to get involved. You end up with Rollins in a chair and Sammy in the ring. Rollins uh, basically just beats up on Sammy for a little while with the chair, and then they decide to do the stomp, and that's the end of the show. So, it was a brutal beatdown. I guess its point would have been served. Um, Again, not real sure what it does to actually build interest. I mean, I guess it was entertaining for the moment while watching it live on Raw, but I'm not sure what it really does for the story. Although it does appear as though they're building towards Sami Zayn in some way being a special guest referee, actually in ring. So maybe that's supposed to be where all this heads. But anyway, long story short, that is wrestling in my opinion, or with my opinion. Hopefully you guys liked what you saw. Again, I'm going to mention it. If you do, please hit the subscribe button, hit that little bell to get notifications. Drop some comments. I want this to be a really interactive experience. I want you all to be involved. Throw the comments in there. Send me videos. If they're good enough, and try to keep them short, 30 seconds to a minute. But if you can, and they're good, I'm going to try to use them in future videos talking about different things. But I appreciate it if you took the time to watch this video. Again, my name is Frank. This has been Wrestling with My Opinion. Thank you.